YouTube so Sikka FM 895 official. Facebook Sikka FM 895 live and TikTok and X so at Sikka FM and you may someone who do some for last or coachable as so Eddie Asumami Amideva Somono the Dumakutini P and say Ghana man penny His Excellency John Dramani Mahama Edia to just say Kwapembra National Security Council ebe catcher the Galam say corner is a no day until one declare state of emergency no so breading a dra and son to me crowd no or to me I declare state of emergency and so if you want ye be call Attorney General Nukoyan so and a year so for heart and ten some so Dr. Dominic Kaine what the ababa to just sudia sir Ashanti Regional Chairman Edema MPP Amanyokono Ra Bernard entry Bosia ko chama wuntumi say the Ankrata Assembly bibia ye ready a free adwade de anim October boso be de tosunsia emra no ene ni bedi efa galam say ho ensem ho sanso na Sanso na Ghana Mampani John Dramani Mahama or Sanso de Atudja Sir Galamse no as say akoye kekese eda o meye ni mu no ogusua e de hye pegu akwam a obehye ama Galamse kun no wakon eto ase e free ye man ni mu ye free so a ye beko acting managing director Edema Ghana Water Company Limited Rura Adam Mutakahilu na kache wono so de atudwa se ukopiemu wakonyako water treatment plant no a se de esuo no level no ana wo se nkeduru etumi nyanyina mahode no tia na eteba form eno ti mrante no bekoso aye dwuma se de be nyanyina mahode ho sem no so ebegina brane sam not George so yenim so dom kuma no so atoma no de agu ne so se bosha Ghana fo se woni DSTV for senka ye ne be wiase na DSTV bo no ya so hamu abupe aduasa as say the adan asempofro no wo se onwa kasantu ne ho akonwa so panyi ba ko a wo no so ukọ parliament omo committee omo share communication Suleiman Adama abekasa se de adom kuma no ye no omo share no munya afisa de omo ka no ensuo biada enni me fina kachia ye bekọ owura bia wode Vitus Azim ono so yobi okasa e de etia kasa share dream de kankan ye e de proye wo say said your mind Sikka papa and you phobia dear no ma what Muslim dear aban and pair quite part now one for so quite about so Sikka Kodi Kwabrani bia someone I'm quite personal 1J and free in some and you raise some way and I may badge bread I may have a babemu sefi high and you no sia Cassia but me I would say my name dame Eddie Ajua Nyakon Abron my jatra kwane swaba getting same no in Chimu Abba
Sikka FM track wine yen ye kro
Sikka FM 89.5 yes suma santimai
ene Ghana mani wi asedi ama yen share was some no asiye Ghana mabani John Dramani Mahama ene so woni panyifo akabie wom atna se edi nkomodie ni nyina eye kwan ye o man nyina ye beka bom na illegal mining Galamse no a se de atiate se o mamu ni nyina no ye bepe kwan pa edi afaso na yakọ Galamse no eko ene ero ho ene koshia panyifo akabie wom a omokotena se ekodidi nkomo ewo enkran mantam no emu eho ena mapanyi ekasa ye ede finance someone around no bebre ade to just a kane no a na ye nyanto aba emfa mampanyi na mampanyi wa ban wana chi no mampanyi hye aban dada no ano wo so na adanko akufado ene na memu ne se ko mun declare state of emergency said na Galamse no ho sem esi etiero na wa akire na se declare state of emergency na nyame adom Ghana fo ato aba de amount na Ghana mampanyi John Dramani Mahama wa betara ban wana so de a ene de o ka kire do di so enko wonya no wa bai de to me ne nyina crown no ka declare state of emergency na Galamse ko no ye hwe na ye ko mampanyi sisa asem do akosoro nyina wono so wati bi na mprempre ya de want to be for to me no Ghana for dia man no e she won akasa ensem na won declare state of emergency ko pem say National Security Council na sutire say the niema koso no say the galamsey ne kono on declare state of emergency mampanyi se kopem say ebedu sa bre no National Security Council for ebe ka cho ne say obetumi declare state of emergency no to me no e de ama no no ankasa entumi enkase o declare state of emergency mampanyi say kodu sa bre no na panyifo ma ne kwan say on declare state of emergency a on twetwa ne na ase obe declare ama galamsey kono yakoga mampanyi His Excellency John Dramani Mahama.
Now with the elephant in the room, state of emergency. You know, yes, I have the power to do it, but the president acts on the authority, not only on the authority, on the advice of the National Security Council. And as at now, this moment, the National Security Council believes that we can win the fight against galamsey. I want to assure you that they advised me otherwise, that boss, now we need a state of emergency, I will not hesitate to fight. And as we deploy more troops and we apply more resources to the fight, I'm sure that gradually we'll begin to see that we're winning the fight. So like I said, this is not going to be a one-stop dialogue. We're going to continue to update you. We need your support. We need your criticism. We need your advocacy. We need your pressure. Continue to put our feet to the fire, because that will encourage us to also continue to work harder. And so I want to personally assure you that as president, I will also continue to put pressure on my lands ministry and all the ministries that are involved in this to make sure that we're able to hand over to our children and our grandchildren an environment that our great-grandfathers handed over to us. They gave us a beautiful country with a lot of forests and trees and beautiful rivers. We should not hand over poisoned rivers and desecrated forests to our children and our grandchildren. And so we will continue to fight. I believe that we'll win the fight against galamsey.
Mampanyi se owojidie mapase galamsey kono yakoso ani yakoni ya ebedi ekune mfise yana nanom ejaye nsase papa omujaye nnuane jaye kwa ebretu ahodo na na bresu ohwema ne ma nane na da ache ebe wo ye ma ne na nanom ye bibi bejo omo a ne the poison ene eba bejo mampanyi se omasa maso enti galamsey kono bekoso a na wakoni ye gana mampanyi wie ye ene osanso editu dwase galamsey kun ya yakaka yentumi kun ensa kase ne panyifo atwetwe wura wo mo excavators ska wo mo atoto excavators to a wo mo hye galamsey no ase de fo mo se campaigns no o mo mom na ban no ebetu nani ede esi wo mo so.
I like that somebody raised that. What are we doing to the kingpins? Because most of those 1,400 who have been arrested are young youth who are looking for something to be able to look after themselves. And we'll prosecute them, we'll imprison them. But those who run those operations are the ones that we must be arresting and imprisoning, not these little boys, you know. And so we need to change our strategy. We can arrest the boys and all that. Given there's no slap on the wrist. What's the least sentence? 15 years, 5 to 15. Yeah, so we'll catch these boys and we'll feed them for 5 years, look after them for 5 years, and distract them. But like I'm saying, maybe we can look rather for the kingpins and deal with them in a major way, so that we able to get something on this whole thing. With regards to toxification of the waters, like the EPA was saying, we started some pilots. There are new chemicals that have come that allows you to treat water and take out the toxins and the heavy metals. There are new chemicals that have come. One of them is called dioxin. The people came and we sent them there. They took samples, they tested. We're waiting for them to bring the results back. But there are other ways of dealing with gold, that is processing gold, without using mercury and cyanide. There are different new, for instance, you have what they call vortex concentrators. You put the gravel in there and it's a vortex, it's like a centrifuge. And all the heavy things sink to the bottom. And you're able to take out the water and you see the gold lying at the bottom. And you don't need to use mercury and all that. There's carbon filter. There you can use carbon filters to filter the water in order to be able to take out any toxins that's in there. They call it activated carbon filtration. You have reverse osmosis that is capable of taking out heavy metals and others, you know, from the water. So while we are fighting the menace, I'm also saying that we should uptake technology in order to protect our environment.
And yet, Ghana Mampenny His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Yako Attorney General Nukoyanso, and yes, for share attending and some. So, Dr. Dominic, Ayene Nakache na Yedu. What the ababa to draw says a say, dear, and Krata 70 one who do and penny for Yenina every Nina Alpha Chairman wound to me. Bernard entry was Yako, one day Ashanti Regina Chairman, the MPP Aminukono, one no, said and one some effort for the Galam say, I know a can a contact mining company, no any diano, a hono Dr. Dominic, I say, Humuna Juma, every Maria Maya Duma, a Juada. October hini mebusumi edi enimni de tosu ensia emra wa Ghana ha ene chama wutumi ebedi afa galamse ekono enho enyu anu nko ose awura numnum bi eka ho omo soso ehwemu na kire se forest reserves kwabreto ahodo aya je ho a virgin forest ya yenkomo no omo ni concession bi omo ni tumikirata bia chama wutumi ni awura numnum akọbọ awuram etutu fumagudi etutu kwa enimu a sese de aya hataye hwe eda ho tinyame ya doma de di enemu Ghana mra ene chama wuntumi ene afi eranum numa omo eka home ebedu de sanse wonyina etudwa abra ene civil society organizations omo ene panyfo ehia mu ekoso ewo enkran mantam no emo Dr. Dominic Ayene.
Now, in terms of prosecutions, the statistics that were given included 1,400 arrests. Now, the biggest problem we've had with the arrest is the 48 hours rule, constitutional principle that we must bring them before the courts within 48 hours. Most of the judges have been granting them bail. Currently, we have initiated prosecutions in 65 dockets. And Mr. President, there's a difference. When we say 65 dockets, it is not 65 individual persons who are being prosecuted. Some of them are more than 10. In fact, there is one case in the Western North. There are 28 minors that are involved in that prosecution. So the 65 dockets, by my calculation, contains about 600 persons that are illegal minors that are being prosecuted. And I'm happy to announce that in 2002, the police conducted very diligent investigations in respect of Akonta mining. But the docket was hidden until we came to power. In fact, when we came to power and I started the investigation with the the Lands and Natural Resources Minister and the Forestry Commission, we were finding it difficult to get information. Subsequently, the police themselves owned up and presented the docket to my office 2 months ago. So as we speak, the charges against Chairman Wuntumi, Akonta Mining, and 5 others have been signed as I speak. Currently, we are waiting for him to be read his right to remain silent, etc. Before we've asked that he should be brought from, Kumasi. His lawyers asked that he should be brought on Tuesday, but I'm insisting that he should be here on Monday. If he doesn't come on Monday, I'm going to order for his arrest so that he'll be brought to Accra. His rights will be read to him, and then we can start the prosecution.
And yet, Dr. Dominic Ayene was say or matso. Chama would to me lawyers in cra, saying I may do my juada or more funny brand crane, Nembrano, any no encodi. Or kind lawyers for the sake of Tuesday was a day, but Jordan one who hears one ma. Or Bamia Baba Chino Kumase, adding his any came near the bed through a premier debate no, yet an aquan crane, not Simbia Hupia, or Marco. Dr. Dominic Ayene, yeah, and was saying, Sir, controversial LI 2462. And no, a man penny for me to Mikrata, one will borrow forest reserves equal to a more good year. Sir, LI no. Say what the full crack to my shame with fear, and no, a babas Saturday and a man penny for be quiet, a momoko two, and from a good year or a quadrato audomenoso in tea.
One of the things we have done is to review the Minerals and Mining Act, and I have advised the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources that the current state of the law is such that licenses and leases can be granted over the whole territory of the Republic of Ghana. That includes forests, that includes the territorial waters and the exclusive economic zone. So the first thing to do is for us to streamline the Minerals and Mining Act. And for instance, in respect of mining in forest reserves, we will put a provision in the statute, in the bill, when enacted, that will prohibit mining in forest reserves completely. And I have told the minister that one of the things we can do is to identify all the forest reserves and put them in a schedule attached to the bill and make it categorically clear that no license for mining activity or lease for the conduct of mining can be granted in respect of all the forest reserve attached to the statute. Now that means that at any point in time that the law, the position has to change, they have to go back to Parliament and then review the law, which makes it, politically more difficult. Also, we have prepared an instrument that is LI 2505 in my office, and that will be laid in Parliament on the 14th. The Minister and I have agreed that on the 14th of October, when Parliament resumes, we'll lay that instrument to revoke the infamous LI 2462, so that there will be no basis whatsoever for anybody to tamper with, with our forest. So immediately it is laid, within 21 days, it matures, and from that time onwards, we will not have LI 2462.
And yet, Attorney General Koyansuna Swafwa was share Atamoho and some so Dr. Dominic. Ayene Erikasia Bono a concept from Mudia. And then so Ghana Mapani John Dramani Mahama. Wane CSOS Echo Shiaye Echo Church and Komosi CSOS civil society organizations or Romko Shiaye Elma Penyatana Ho and Romu Echo Didin Komo Edeko Pair. Anu ye ne kwan pa ye befa so agalamse ko no ye bekọ atu ase kra e de afri ho na komotwetwe no wie na CSOS bi e kire wo madwen e fa ne den hyemu no a omo ne mampanyi e koye no e ho
of interventions, and we're looking at working with the traditional authorities, because there's no illegal activity that can be carried out without an authorized and a traditional authority within a particular jurisdiction involvement, because there should be at all costs an involvement of a traditional authority who allows or who give a nod to somebody to go into their land to do an illegal activity. So we are coming up with interventions that we're going to work directly with the traditional authorities in curbing illegal mining activity. We don't believe in shooting and killing. We believe in solutions. The people need work to do, so we're going down the drain, inform the traditional authorities the negative aspect of the illegal activity, for them to also support aspects of geological investigations and doing the right responsible mining that we are all talking about.
On a balance sheet, I would say this is a baseline for us to stand on it, to monitor the progress that will be made in the coming months. If we have to go to years, we say in the coming years. We see some level of commitment from the president and his team, but I would say that commitment for me is not still enough. We need more commitment in terms of implementing this presentation that she has made to Ghanaians today. The bottom line is enforcement. He says from strategic and intelligent point of view, it is still premature to declare a state of emergency. We take that in terms of security angle, but we also be interested for the president to be telling us frequently what the state of affairs in terms of progress that we are making. But the bottom line is, how do we get more committed in enforcing the laws? How do you streamline the institutions that are responsible to eradicating the threats of illegal mining? How do you ensure that communities are getting more involved in terms of advocacy, in terms of participation, in terms of surveillance from institutions that matter, to ensure that we can really deal with it?
A lot has been done. Over the period, we've seen a lot being done by the various agencies, which we think they are on course. It is now understandable why the declaration of the state of emergency has to be on hold for now, because the team, they are doing a lot of work. I think that going forward, once these strategies are continued, coupled with sustainable livelihood issues at the community level, to address the issues of bread and butter, we are good to go.
And yet, civil society organizations, so Hodwa, and I want Ghana man penny ko share your man penny at Snayo. Commotion Moko Chay and a coin Bafaswagalam Secono, or my moon never con ama asia tuno, and who be no much for ye, Eddie Echoy was so good so tie Sikka 89.5 and you may not see a Cassia Bo, any good so I can kind Eddie Mowbray Facebook Nisso a Sikka FM 895 live and a YouTube no so a Sikka FM 895 official. Nani a chance and paya yade ebesumwe. Erikasia Bone ko Ghana Water Company Limited ko acting managing director wo Owura Adam Mutawakilu also edia to just say okwa kwanyako water treatment plant na wo a few months amunua said ye eja ensuo no si kwafam no ano ese amane ema yehu tinatemamfo wo ho mo so bre e won suo e ho ensem ne won de atodwa se nkranhye wo ho ni nyina ne se engineers no omo ye adwuma den se pumps na asai nyina wo kwanyako water treatment plant ho no omo beye said ye beye atemamfo won few months amu fa bi omo nyansuo no omo so ebenya nsuo anom ene day CSOs no a omo no mapanyi kodi nkomo e o mapanyi atran ye ho eno de sansemo yi ekoto udwa.
The turbidity is coming down. Intermittently, we are able to I said the turbidity is coming down. Intermittently, we are able to produce a small, but that is still not enough. So we have decided instead of using submersible pump, we'll use what we call horizontal pumps. The submersible pump go deep down, but the horizontal pumps are this way, so that we'll be able to take enough water to produce. So my engineers are there. They are working around the clock to fix the horizontal pumps.
So obviously means we're spending a lot now in the treatment of our water plants as a result of the activities of illegal miners.
It has been so since 2017 when we moved. Most of the water bodies were such that we cannot use alum. We couldn't use alum to treat, and we have to move to polyelectrolyte. So when I came to Ghana Water Limited, when you take the chemical composition, the polyelectrolyte takes more of the budget than the alum, and that still continues.
NATA acting managing director Edema Ghana Water Company Limited Ora Adam Mutawakilu or say said the name city de esuno galam senti ya na said the ni nesie dino treatment no adbema no kra eno kra giska no bebre has anya asem ketua na mo kan yakode no asai ne de plant no asai ne de engineers wo ho a omo ye adwuma said the be ya on be fix plant no ama o matumi a tinsu ani kroje ama 15 months for so nya super e de abo wo mo ebra na watwe mo so de anase na kakra nie honorable Sam Note George sofo a ohwenkuta hodie ene abefo ho nsem ene nimdi ahodo a ebei woni DSTV fo wo mo twede awra nya asem ketwa nyina ne se honorable Sam Note George said DSTV bo no mo de magana fo no twamene bo o de tutu a bibre mama ya hodo ne so na so mu kuye o mu twa ekoto no masa so ya no se bana ye nsu enu to no mo kasa komodi ahodo koso senke be ya o mo tete ebo ne so nam so ma honorable Sam George e be she Ghana fo bo se oni DSTV fo twe o mo so age atum se o mo ba tete subscription no bo ne so ha mo abupan aduasa 30%. na watwe mu komo na sesa dia abeto jane se tse so ne do amount so na emom de wutua no a wo betua na channel so omode ma no be bie kakra de aka ho se di asifo kra so de afene be ko na be yere ka boso me miensa omo aye promotion ete so majeje channels ni mu bi de aka ho ama obo subscribers no. And I'm so madam kuma wa mra shebe je fia be kase Sam George twa Ghana fon tro wode akoma di agro wadada ye to onu akasa ntuni ho de so wa ntuni ho de so so a mampanyi wona ti kwano mpam no every adwuma no a wo ye fisi adwuma no otumi enye okọ parliamentary committee on communication roba kwa wo so Sulemana Adama was say said the dokuma yi asem wo mo twiri twan na Sam George mpam no onu akasa enyini ho de so was kwan adom kuma na fa so a omde Sam George e fa so no enye Swani and ensuo bia ni masam no mo ka Sam George to the one years was say abanda dan wo so mampanyi na akasa mu de na kwanwa eto galamse ko so wan tumi anko no obi pamono ono akasa so resign ye wo se yenya de ye no dom kuma nya de mo ye no omunyae ema Sam George akasa enfini pem enye adwuma ensom Ghana for honorable Sulemana Adama.
As members of the majority caucus of the communications committee, we recognize the minorities' concern. We however emphatically disagree with their position and their call for the removal of the minister responsible for communication. This is premised on the fact that The goal of protecting Ghanaian consumers must always be the driving force behind parliamentary activity. In their statement, Honorable Oreku sought to create the impression that there are serious irregularities with the arrangement the minister reached with MultiChoice. The majority wishes to place on record that these assertions are wholly unfounded and do not reflect the facts on the ground. There is nothing irregular about the minister's engagement with MultiChoice, and there is absolutely no justification for the call on the minister to resign. The minister has acted within his mandate and continues to provide the needed leadership, stabilize and guide the sector. The criticism of the deputy ranking member offers a chance to thoroughly examine the state and progress of Ghana's communication sector, especially given the legacy issues inherited from the previous NPP government led by Mrs. Esther Owusu Ekufu, former Minister for Communication. Indeed, what the minority fails to admit is that over the past 8 years, the communication space in Ghana suffered greatly from the absence of constructive dialogue between the ministry and industry players. Some of the unpopular decisions that did not inure to the benefit of the interests of Ghanaians included the following. You recall the sale of Vodafone Ghana to Telecel under very opaque circumstances. Recall the merger of Airtel and Tigo, which was aimed to create competitive telecom operator, but resulted in significant challenges, including over $10 million in losses within 8 months and ongoing financial hemorrhage of the telecom sector. The decision to award NextGen Infraco a 10-year exclusive license to deploy 5G infrastructure under highly controversial circumstances and lack of transparency, together with concerns over financial viability and absence of competitive processes. The failure to effectively implement the Ghana Rural Telephony and Digital Inclusion Project, which has resulted in over 4 million Ghanaians without telecommunication network.
NIT Honorable Suleiman Adama Okoma She Bidjafie Hwa Abidjakwonwa wo mo ehwenkuta hodie ho nsam so ye member wo so ene te se odi ensem yi eko edi amadom kese no anase dom kuma na ewo emrahye Bidjafie no yakwa owura bi a wono de adwuma woye mamu anase wokasa edi etia keta hyehyɛ dwem de kankan ye ene proye or the vitals azim ono so ene se sade omayi mu mpanyifo bi a yemo de bire so omo nsom ye ya na oman sika omo twefo omo hwenem no omo difa ya ne basa ye de adwuma hye bi nsa ne omo sika ka ho a no oman ye adwuma ne troka no omo sika na wasa omo srem no o se aban no enhye na animu ya ompe kwan pa tekuni sempua bia wo bia oya aban adwuma bia edi aba oman ne kabia ebegiska no ede afri wo mo akache yentie ora vitals azim.
Well, the Public Accounts Committee has got a clerk that is responsible. So you can they can instruct those institutions to pay the money into a particular account, if it is the consolidated fund or whatever account, the Bank of Ghana, and they show evidence in terms of a paying slip or a receipt to the clerk of the committee, who will compile them and report back to the committee maybe once in a month. I think that way the Public Accounts itself will have the responsibility of tracking those retrievals. If the Auditor General has ordered those recoveries, then the Auditor General can establish a desk for that. The officer in charge will take receipts or paying slips from the various institutions and individuals who have paid back those monies, record them, and bring to the attention of the Auditor General once every month.
Anti-corruption campaigner Ora Vitals Azim Nesemi so ena yechina ensema hodo ensaka ne fie ha se anwume no nsia kase bono yede ni nyina esi from na se ema newsroom adwumayefo enyina mancha say order 0 kwame ofori aboaje wona bobo kase boy ano ede soma me wafalasa okoji abakra 95 years awon kitapoma ono so ena song kase bono so ede ema me ama sewa papa bi ampa fo no so ena bo ni nyina ede ema me ena brasela so wa ha obo ejuma papa pasiwo edema bullet fashion center DJ bullet on chinchin fuma ni nyina edema yesan so ede ye call Facebook ene YouTube ma onya ye hweye ewo ho na na ya bo anso eteche dindindi a okan ho bo aye eme de kase bo no ebre o medi ede adwoa nyako abro